Shalom and welcome to my channel, Truth in Biblical Research, or TIBR, where we dig through the original text of Scripture so we can study to show ourselves approved unto Elohim, rightly dividing the word of truth. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and to make sure you get all of my videos, hit the notification bell for all, which would be the black bell. That notification bell would be right over here if you're watching on a laptop or desktop on this side. Or if you're watching on the phone, it would be off on the corner over here. Okay, today we're going to go through what John meant by the word in John 1:1, really John 1:1 through 5, but I'm just going to go through John 1:1 through 2. What did he mean by the word? And what you hear in the church is, it was Logos. In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. And he was in the beginning with Logos. Okay, that doesn't really tell me what it is, though. We got to step outside of the Greek, especially when you read John, because John writes like he's a brain surgeon compared to the other three Gospels. He writes up here, and the other three Gospels are down here or lower. He is so far in another dimension that the Gospel of John should not be given to new Christians, because he writes in allegories, and he describes Yeshua as these objects that is so foreign to Greek. You actually need to look at the book of John in a different light altogether from Greek. I actually believe that book of John was originally written in Hebrew, because of how it probably was not written by a Galilean who made his living as a fisherman, because the trade jobs as a fisherman, I don't want to say that the fishermen of the first century were stupid, but they were not intellectuals like the Pharisees were intellectuals. There was a reason why John had a number of Pharisees mentioned in the text and not just Joseph of Arimathea, because he is mentioned in at least Matthew, if not one of the other Gospels. But I know he's mentioned in Matthew. But you have Nicodemus and you have Lazarus, both of which are Pharisees. And both of them were followers of Yeshua. Joseph of Arimathea was a follower of Yeshua, but he was also mentioned elsewhere in the New Testament. So he was, I think, he was the only Pharisee that was mentioned by name outside of John. So if we look at John 1:1 and 2, I'm only going to go through the first two verses. If we look at John 1:1-2, with Hebrew eyes, what are we going to be? What are we going to be seeing? What's going to come to mind? Well, as a Hebrew thinker who studies Torah, what you're going to be thinking about is Genesis 1:1, because it starts the same way. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now here is Genesis 1:1. Here's Genesis 1:1, okay? You got Bereshit, bara, Elohim, et hashemayim, va'et haaretz. Now, two things that I want to point out right away. This word and this word. Okay? These are the focus. These two words are going to be the focus. Okay. Notice that there are 7 words. Okay. That can be multiple layers, to be a picture of the 7 days of the week. Be a picture of this, from one end of the year of release to the other end of year of release, the Shemitah, which is what the year of release is called, to be a picture of the counting of the Shavuot, because you're supposed to count each Shabbat for you count 7 Shabbats and then plus 1. The next day becomes Shavuot, which is a picture of the Jubilee, because you count 7 Shemitahs, 7 years of release, and then the next year becomes the Jubilee. Also, as I put here, each word correlates to 1,000 years on the calendar of creation. So, each day correlates to the day of creation. Okay. I'm going to highlight the line. That correlates with the first day of creation, creating light out from the darkness. And that was in the first 1,000 years. Second 1,000 years, you got the separation of the waters, the water from above from the waters from below. That happened in the second day, and also what happened in the second 1,000-year portion of the calendar, the flood. So the flood happens in the second 1,000 years. In the 3,000-year mark, you have the fish of the sea that are created, and the third 1,000-year demarcation, I guess you would call it, would be the creation of the seed of Abraham. They were made like this. They were made more than the stars of the sky and the sands of the sea. And that's okay. The 4,000-year mark was the creation of the mammals on the earth. Also, it was the first coming of the Messiah. Going down over here. It's both of those. So that's the first coming of the Messiah, because Messiah appeared 4,000 years after creation. On the fifth day was the creation of the birds of the air. And Shemayim is the fifth word. And the air is considered part of the heavens, the sky, the birds in the sky. That's considered part of the heavens. The 6,000-year demarcation sixth day is the creation of man. Also, the 6,000-year demarcation is the second coming of the Messiah. Obviously, what comes after that is the Shabbat. The first Shabbat was created, and yes, he created a Shabbat. By doing what? By resting. The seventh word is haaretz, And the correlation between the four last words is important. The New Testament says that Yeshua sits on the right hand of the Father. What side is the Aleph Tav to Elohim? The Aleph Tav is to the right hand of Elohim. Also, Yeshua well, let me get to that in a little bit. So, et is how it's said, Aleph Tav. Et is the only word in Hebrew that doesn't have a definition. You can look it up in Strong's. It does not have a definition. I believe the Strong's number is 430. We look in the Hebrew, H430. I believe that's the number for the Aleph Tav. Mostly, it functions as a direct object. It is usually used when a new figure is being mentioned in a story. It's not the only time, but when a new character is being mentioned in a story, it's usually used in this fashion as a direct object. These are the times that the Aleph Tav, et, is coupled with a chatuf, also known as a hyphen. And it looks like that. It looks like that. Aleph, et, hyphen, and then whatever the word following that happens to be. So, when there is no chatuf, it is known as a standalone Aleph Tav, which what we have here, actually twice. We have two of them. These are used in such a way as it shows the presence of Yeshua being present in the text. Here we have two examples of this, the fourth word and the sixth word of the first verse in Scripture. Yeshua came from the heavens through a vision to Maryam, which is her Aramaic name. In Hebrew, she is Miriam. She is known as Mary to the church, with a visit by Gabriel in the 4,000-year mark. He will return with his feet on the Mount of Olives in the 6,000-year mark. Elohim is to the right of the Aleph Tav, making the Aleph Tav sit on the right hand of the Father. Apostle John is showing that Yeshua is the Aleph and the Tav in Revelation. The first and the last, the beginning and the end. Greek does not have a two-letter word that has an Aleph and Omega in it. So the fact that Revelation is using Aleph and Omega is to me, is proof that Revelation is a translation. A Greek copy of Revelation is a translation of the original. So, in other words, AO makes no sense in Greek. Alpha and Omega was actually Aleph and Tav, because that actually does mean something, and Yeshua is the Aleph Tav. The complete plan is summed up in 7 words with this one verse. So, I hope that has been a blessing for you, and thank you for watching my video. And Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Psalm 122:6. Thank you for watching my videos. See you the next time.